Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do brows 4 different ways. So we're going to get started straight away. I've just given myself a little bit of foundation just so that everything looks nice and even. And so we're going to start with the first brow look I'm going to show you, and that's going to be a brow look just using powder only. So for this purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the Anastasia brow palette. There's a ton of colours in here. And obviously you just use the ones that are suitable for your skin tone. I have this one with me all the time on jobs because it's got so many different colours in it. It's easy for me to be able to find a colour match for someone. But today I'm going to be using, which colours am I going to use? I'm going to use a mixture because I've got so many different colours in my hair. I'm going to be using a mixture of the Auburn, the caramels and the taupes up top, I think. Right, so first things first, if you have a spoolie or a disposable mascara wand, you can just brush up your brows. And by doing that, by brushing up your brows, you can kind of see what's going on underneath, and if you have any holes that need to be filled. So that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to take my Kitco brush. This one is a 2.4. There are loads of different brushes on the market. MAC do some really good brow brushes. This just happens to be one of my favourites at the moment. So I'm going to take one of the taupe colours here, one of the lightest colours, just because I'm going to map out the shape underneath. So you want to take your angle brush and just gently place in where you think you're missing hairs underneath to make that more of a complete arch. Now when you use powder, it can tend to be a much softer look on the brow. So when I don't want it to be particularly too strong, then I will go for a powder brow. I've chosen this taupe colour because it's a bit lighter than the hair on my actual face, and so it doesn't overpower the hair, my natural hair. So I also can take the brush and the flat portion like this, and I can hold it against my brow and just pull up just to coat the hairs with a bit of colour. The powder method for my particular brows always takes me a little bit longer because of the discrepancy in eyebrow hair colour that I actually have as opposed to the colour of the powder, because I like to get that powder really into those eyebrow hairs. I'm sure you've probably all seen the trick where you take your pencil, your brush, and you measure from the side of your nose here, so that's technically where your brow should start. So if I was following that rule, I'd probably come in just a touch, which we can do here. I actually don't mind my eyebrows starting a bit further over, to be honest. So you just use your brush in like a flicking motion upwards. And I'm being very light-handed on my skin, barely touching. Because I personally don't want this inside corner to be overbearing. I like it to be a bit softer. So you go like this, 1, and then 2 is if you flip it to the diagonal where your arch should be. So here. So if I look underneath, you just make a mark where that was, so right there. So now I can use my brush to just join the rest of the top of the brow up to that mark, so it's giving me a bit more of an arch. And then you take your brush to the outside corner of your eye, and then that's kind of where it should end. So I can connect that arch to the tail and just pull it down to about there. And you see the difference in the two brows now. Slightly thicker, slightly longer, comes in slightly. I'm just gonna, so once you have your shape, like this, you can then tweak your colour a little bit. Because I've got some red in my hair, I'm actually gonna go to the, I'm not gonna go to the Auburn because it's quite a bit darker than me, but I'm gonna go to the caramel. And just pull some through. I know Urban Decay do a nice set of like just a couple to two different colours in there. I know MAC does a whole bunch of really good brow products. There's loads out there on the market. See, so this, by just adding a little bit of this warmth into my brow, it matches my hair colour a little better. If you think you've gone too far, because you're using powder, simply just a plain concealer brush without anything on it will take off any unwanted product, like so. So I'm happy with that. Colour wise, I'm just going to make sure my underside is cleaned up. Take that plain concealer brush again. And there you have it. So this is the first brow look using only powder products. Okay, the second way we're going to do eyebrows today is with my Anastasia Tinted Brow Gel, coupled with the brow pen from MAC, the Shape and Shade, I think this might be called. The Shape and Shade. Okay. You can use a clear brow gel for this if you have highly pigmented coloured brows. I don't, so I'm going to use a tinted gel first. So what we're going to do for this tinted brow gel, so whether you have a darker eyebrow or a fairer eyebrow like myself, wipe off most of your product and then start by pushing backwards with that brow gel, and that is going to coat the back of the hair, and just keep pushing that back, and you let that sit for a few seconds. This is a little trick that I learned when I was working at MAC Cosmetics, because what it actually does is, once it's coated on the back and then you brush it all over, and it lays better. You manipulate the hairs better, and so they kind of stay in place more. Whereas if you just coated the top and not the back, they kind of wouldn't have any tack to stick down. So I'm going to leave mine a little bit up rather than over, to give you more of that boy brow kind of look. Now this is kind of is a look in itself, you could just leave this, but I'm just going to show you how these pens work. These are great, especially in film and television, which is where I do the most of my work, because you can draw on these little tiny hairs. If somebody has quite a sparse eyebrow but you want it to look fuller but not too dense, then you can use these pens to really add some little hairs in. So I'm shaking this down. It is an ink pen, so I just want as much ink to get to the bottom. There is a shade portion on the top here where you can kind of go in, it has a foamy top. You can kind of go in, I don't know if you can see that. You can kind of go in and add some more depth if you want. I'm just going to use this nib right here, and I'm going to do some little flicks. If you practice on your hand before you do it, like so, you can do some really nice little flicks with it. So I'm holding it kind of like towards the end. I'm not gripping it really, really hard because I want my wrist to be quite loosey-goosey. And for me, if I tilt my head up slightly, I can see underneath where I potentially need a little fill-in. And for me, that's always here. You can always do your 3-point pull. And that kind of illustrates to you even more where you might need some help. I'm pushing a bit harder as I'm going through the actual brow itself, just so that the colour deposits. It deposits really well just on plain skin, but actually on the little hairs it's a little harder. When you're drawing the hairs in, you want to go in the direction that those hairs grow in, which may sound like I'm trying to teach you something that you already know, but a lot of the times when people draw hairs in, especially going in this direction, they still draw them up, but actually your hairs come over. And there you have the second look you can do with eyebrows, just using the MAC Shape and Shade pen and the Anastasia brow gel. Okay, so the third way I'm going to show you how to do your brows is using just a pencil. So this one I have grabbed is the It Brow Power Super Skinny. This one has a spoolie on one end and the product on the other. So I'm going to start again by brushing up my brows. Alright, so I just put this on my hand first, just to warm it up a little bit. Alright, and then I'm going to start underneath again. I'm just going to pull my brow up and so we're just taking that pencil and doing little hair-like strokes. Now, eyebrow pencils are a lot different in texture to, like, say, an eyeliner pencil. So I wouldn't use an eyeliner pencil just because they're a bit creamier and they tend to not stay longer. They're a bit more emollient, which generally means they've got more slip to them. So they're not made to go on the brow because they just won't stay. I'm going to take my sharp angle brush from my Kitco. It's a 110. And now you can just use that brush to manipulate your pencil. And what I do is I tend to put the most pressure at the beginning of my kind of pull in, and then I kind of lift off towards the end, so that we don't get any blunt endings. And if I feel like it's a bit too blunt at the beginning, I can take my brush and I can blend it in. And the benefit of using a pencil is you have quite a lot of control with a pencil. And they're a little easier to, if you make a mistake, they're a little easier to just take your brush and move it to where it is that you actually want it to be. I kind of use the top of the brush just to almost comb up as well at the same time, so I can kind of see if I've got any weird chunkiness going on. And I'm gonna just measure my arch again, so it should be around here. And I'm going to go in, emphasize that ever so slightly. And if you ever feel like you've made your brows too heavy, you can always take your spoolie and just brush through them. And that will kind of get rid of a little bit of product for you. Okay, so that would be the third look using just a pencil and an angle brush. Okay, on to the fourth and final way I'm going to show you how to do your brows today. And I'm going to be using a brow pomade. And I have a couple of different ones here just to show you. So I have the Anastasia brow pomade. And this one is quite a nice, like, thick consistency. But it can be painted on quite thin, which I enjoy. And the other one I have is one by a brand called Reina Rebelde, which is this one right here. And I haven't actually tried this one on my brows just yet. So I think I'm going to try it. And then we're going to experience this together. So I'm going to take my sharp angle brush from my Kitco. And I'm going to dip straight into this guy just so I can see the consistency. First of all, I am going to brush up again. It's a common theme here. Always brush up your brows. This spoolie brush is actually from It Cosmetics. It's really cool. It's got another angle brush on the end. Okay, so let's go in with this product here. I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand to see how it comes out. This line right here. This one. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to do my little 3-point pull again and go underneath. This angle brush is great because it's actually fine enough that you could mimic little hairs with this as well if you wanted to. I'm going to take my angle brush because I feel like I went slightly my spoolie. I'm just going to brush down that bit there where I was a bit heavy-handed. If you get it before it sets, you can still move it around quite well. Okay, and that gives me a bit of my shape. I'm now just going to go in and paint my own hair. I mean, I've chosen to use colours that are a little bit darker than my hair for this, so I can really show you how this product comes out. But I could choose something extremely light and almost blonde. So I'm using the flat of my brush just to push the product up, make it a bit more diffused. I'm going to give my arch, I'm going to make it a little more defined so than I did in my other two looks. So let's just go here. I worked on a television show called The Man in the High Castle, and it was on Amazon, and that show was set in 1950s/60s, and we had to do a lot of very sculpted brows, and my boss on that show, Natalie Costco, we just used to have to remind me that they're sisters, not twins. So whenever you feel stressed about not getting your eyebrows to match exactly, they're sisters, they're not twins. That gives me comfort. I'm going to take my concealer brush and just cut into that. Like so. This product is the first time I'm using this, and I really quite like it. It's quite creamy. I shall see how long it lasts. So that was the final brow look for you using the brow pomade and the angle brush. So I hope that you found some things interesting in those 4 little brow instructionals, and if you liked what you've seen, please like, share, subscribe to the video and the channel, and you can follow me on Instagram. I am @thelipsticklegend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.